All of you are aware at this point that lucid dreaming can be a fun pastime, something that you can do that you can get a lot of enjoyment out of. But lucid dreaming can also be used for more serious things. Something that I would really like to do is to post more videos sharing some of those real-world uses for lucid dreaming. How lucid dreaming can be a useful tool to aid you in your life. And so today I'm going to share one such example. And this first example, as with many of the examples that I'll likely share in future, is something that I've personally used lucid dreaming for in my own life. And that is to cope with grief. Throughout our life we have to say goodbye to a lot of things. Relatives, friends, pets, even just places and phases of our life. We have to let go of a lot of things and grieve a lot of losses throughout our life, and often when that happens we are left without a sense of proper closure. There's all manner of ways in which this can occur, but I'll share a personal example of this. So I recently had to have my dog put down. She had cancer and she wasn't doing well. She was losing the battle and she was in a lot of pain. And one of the things that made it really hard to say goodbye to her in the end was that I felt like I didn't really get a proper goodbye in any sense. I mean, I could see that, for example, when I was sitting with her and actually giving her some attention, that she was just in pain and like she didn't want to be disturbed, she would rather just be asleep. So I didn't spend as much time with her in her last days as I otherwise would have liked to, because I just wanted to let her sleep and not be in pain. Not to mention that I wanted to be there for her when she passed away, so I was there with her at the vet, and my last images of her are of her on the table at the vet's taking her last breaths, which obviously isn't a very pleasant last thing to remember about someone that you love. So my last memories of her, they involve a lot of her suffering, and that means that I feel like I didn't really get much in the way of closure. I found myself replaying her final moments pretty much over and over in my head, kind of wishing that I just had a little bit longer to spend with her and maybe could have said a proper goodbye in some better circumstances, and you know, she could have been happy during her last days and so on. And if you've ever had to deal with any sort of loss, you've probably had this process, gone through this process, so you know exactly what I mean here. And this is where I decided to turn to lucid dreaming. This is something that I have actually done before, so this wasn't the first time that I did this, but I decided to use lucid dreaming to help me get closure. I decided to have a dream where I could see her and play with her, a dream in which she was still happy and healthy and able to run around and able to wag her tail and able to be excited. You know, I just wanted to see her wagging her tail and running around again like she used to when she was younger. I wanted to say a proper goodbye. So I did that. I had a dream where I got to see her and play with her, where I got to see her run up to me excited to see me and greet me again, as if she had never been gone. And for me, that provided an immense amount of relief. Now, instead of my last memory of her being her laying on the table at the vet's, taking her last breath, my memory of her that I have, that I keep in my head, is of seeing her in that dream and her running up to me and being all excited to see me. And one of the things that's really quite special about lucid dreams in this way is that in our dreams we actually have all of our senses. So you can give your loved one a hug and you can actually feel them there with you, and yeah, it's not really them, it's, you know, a version of them conjured up by your subconscious, but it feels real. So in that moment you can have that bit of relief and feel like, hey, you're really there with them. Personally, I find that to be immensely powerful and to give me an immense sense of relief, just the fact that I can do that, and the fact that I'm lucky enough to know that I can do that, because I honestly don't know if I would have even thought to do that with a lucid dream if it wasn't for the fact that the very first time that I actually did this, it wasn't a lucid dream, it was just a regular dream. Many years ago when I lost my grandmother, I basically ended up having a dream where I got to hug her and say goodbye to her. It was only having had that experience that I then later thought, hey, I can do this with lucid dreams, when I ended up having to deal with loss again. So that's a little bit about my experience, but if you're currently grieving a loss and you want to try to use lucid dreaming in a similar manner, then my recommendation is basically to think back onto a really nice memory involving that person or that pet or that place or that job or whatever it is that you're grieving. Think back to a really nice memory involving them and try to really picture that as clearly and as vividly as you can. And what you want to do in a lucid dream the next time that you get lucid is just go to that place that you had that memory and then use dream control techniques to encounter them there. I find that the intense emotions involved in the grieving process can make it a lot easier to actually do that, because the moment that you stand in that place, the moment you go to that place associated with that vivid memory, it brings all of that emotion back and makes it much easier to then use dream control to, say, spawn that particular loved one, or to envision yourself doing that thing from that part of your life that you're grieving. You might not even have to use dream control at this point. You might find that you go to this place that you associate with, say, your pet or your loved one, and hey, they're just there the moment that you go there in your lucid dream. If this is something that you decide to try out for yourself, I hope that it brings you closure in the same way that it did for me. And it's at this point that normally I would do some sort of ad read for one of my products, but today, given the nature of this video, I thought I would instead like to ask you to consider making a donation to a local independent animal rescue of your choice. And if you can't do that, then at least go and give your pets some love. Thank you for tuning in. If you like my videos and you want more, make sure you subscribe and enable all notifications so you can stay up to date when my new videos come out. And if you want to keep watching, check out one of the videos on screen, go watch that, and I'll see you there soon. Take care and have some awesome lucid dreams.